Hey guys, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. Today we're playing God of War Ascension on the PlayStation 3. This was the most recent God of War game to come out. It's probably, in my opinion, the best looking. It might not have some of the epic scenes of the... well, I was about to say the first one, but God of War 3, which was the first game on the PlayStation 3, but... it looks really nice. This is one of those games I don't think would look as good on Xbox 360. This was of course a PlayStation 3 exclusive, and thus they got all the power out of it because they didn't have to worry about multi-platform ports. So the God of War games, the Uncharted games, especially the last two, and Last of Us, I think are games that can't be replicated on the Xbox 360 without some compromises. I mean, these games to me, after playing several Xbox 360 games, I just don't think that the Xbox 360 had the kind of power to do these kind of games. And I don't want to say I'm a fanboy. I do prefer playing games on the PlayStation consoles, even if the ports aren't always better. I will make a few exceptions like Ghostbusters and Bayonetta, just because I really like those games and I want the best of the best. But when they actually take their time and program for the systems, it really does show. I'm not saying that the PlayStation 3 is a lot more powerful than the Xbox 360, but when they did program for the PlayStation 3 exclusively, it just looked a notch above anything that you would see on the Xbox 360. On the other hand, engines like the Unreal Engine 3 were made exclusively for the Xbox 360 type of architecture because it was made for PCs, and PlayStation 3 was not made with PC type of DirectX based programming in mind. Sorry, I'm not a programmer, so if I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about 100%, it's because I don't. But I mean, yeah, so the PlayStation 3 really couldn't emulate that. When they made the Unreal Engine 3, a lot of the demos were on the Xbox 360 because they did have the Xbox 360 in mind when in the PlayStation 3, but the PlayStation 3 wasn't really out yet, so they were kind of guessing. I guess they kind of kept their fingers crossed that the PlayStation 3 would be somewhat friendly to program for, and with time they did get better, but they never could, at least from games that I've seen, never could duplicate the same kind of graphical fidelity with that particular engine that they could on the Xbox 360. Of course, everything looked best on PlayStation. I mean, on the PC. I will say though, now that the PlayStation 4 architecture is similar to like PC architecture and the way you program for it, the Unreal Engine 3 games run flawlessly. The Unreal Engine 4 was supposed to replace the Unreal Engine 3, but I don't know, maybe they kind of overestimated the 8th gen consoles a bit, because so far the games that I've seen run on Unreal Engine 4 have been kind of clunky on console. I don't know about the PC versions, but I will say that a lot of the games that run on Unreal Engine 4 are usually indie games with a small development team, but a lot of Square games that are coming out in the near future, like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Kingdom Hearts 3, are running on the Unreal Engine 4, and the demos look kind of clunky, but they're still pretty early in development, so we'll see. And Dead Island 2 is supposed to run on it, but there wasn't a whole lot of gameplay footage, and now that Jaeger isn't making the game anymore, because I think they were going in a different direction than what the original games were going for, and that might have been Deep Silver's fault for making them go into a new direction to compete with Dying Light. But Dying Light, at first when that game came out, it didn't really get the attention that it deserved, and then as time went on, more people played it and appreciated it more. So I think Dead Island wasn't really happy with, or not Dead Island, Deep Silver wasn't really happy with the product that they were making, and I think they wanted to make something similar to the old Dead Island games, and I don't think Jaeger was probably really happy with making Dead Island 2, to be perfectly honest with you, especially coming off of the amazing Spec Ops On the Line game. If you haven't played that, do yourself a favor. If you like shooting games with a compelling story, to check out that game, because once you get over the initial duck and cover Middle Eastern kind of vibe that it first gives off, you'll notice that there's a lot more to that game, especially with the story, the choices, and the characters and shit like that. It goes a lot deeper into war and themes and good versus bad guys and the gray area. It's just an awesome game, and to go from something that awesome that people didn't receive all that well and went to like Call of Duty, which are fun games on their own, don't get me wrong, but to put that much effort to do something new and then basically essentially make just a fun arcadey multiplayer game based on what I saw in the trailers and the previews, that had to be kind of disheartening. So I hope if Jaeger is still able to develop something, I'm not even sure if they're in business anymore, but I hope whoever worked for them gets to do the kind of game that they want to do, where they tell stories. If you heard people yelling and being morons outside in the background, I apologize. This is a pretty nice area, but it is filled with younger people that probably that are living on their own for the first time, so they kind of go like buck wild and shit. The alcohol flows. I was gonna say flows like wine, but that's pretty much like the same thing, isn't it, really? But anyway, it's just people get drunk and act stupid even during the day. I mean, it's like a college area without the dorm rooms. It's a weird mixture though, because there's older people here. I absolutely love it. I need to get out more and do the things I want to do. I really want to get back into, and I said this in a previous video, I really want to get back into photography and art and stuff like that, and do a lot of the creative things that I really miss doing, that I really enjoyed. I guess phase 1 is to get back into video making, which I've really tried to do. Like the last 2 years have been very difficult. Well, it's even gone more longer than that, but I think everything just kind of caught up with me emotionally to this point. But now I'm at the stage where I'm like, okay, I need to move on type of stage, because I feel like I missed out on a lot, and I don't want to miss out on stuff anymore. But at the same time, it's like, where do I start, you know? Sometimes you're away from, well, I kind of said about my friends and stuff. They're older and they're not necessarily shitty. I was kind of being harsh just because sometimes there's some days where you're more understanding than others, and I guess last time I recorded this I wasn't as understanding, but you know, we're all getting in our 30s. We want to well, some of us do, want to start to settle down and have families, and even if we're not married, kind of live that married life and not go out as much and do stuff. And I'm in the boat where I still want to go out and do stuff, but I don't necessarily want to go to bars, even though that's where you meet people and shit. But I'm just so done with drunking people. I've had my drunking little escapades in the past and shit like that, and I'm just burned out on it. But it's hard to meet like single people like my age around here that just want to do stuff, and I don't really want to resort to the internet, to be honest with you. I guess that's why I enjoy the gaming community, because I can have friends online, but I want more friends in real life. I mean, I still have friends here, but they're just so hard to hang out with because they're busy all the time with their family life, and I don't know. It seems like when people get older, they become more reclusive, and when they do stuff, a lot of my friends, and I don't want to call anybody out, but some of them haven't matured as much and still want to do the party thing, and I'm just done with all that shit. So it's a catch-22. But I should probably talk about this game a bit. This is essentially God of War 3. Since God of War 3 wrapped up everything, and I mean God of War 3 gameplay wise, wrapped up everything, instead of going forward, because this came out fairly late in the PlayStation 3's life cycle, right before the PlayStation 4 comes out. There's still an occasional PlayStation 3 AAA title that came out after this, but there's usually a PS4 port. The pop follow, and Sony's now focused more on the PlayStation 4. So instead of going forward in the storyline, which I have a feeling that the next God of War probably will. I have no idea what direction they're going to go with the new God of War. But, yeah, it's more of the same that you played in God of War 3. It's really epic. It's really fun. You really can't go wrong with any of the God of War games. I think this is probably the one that's received the least amount of praise. This one was also the first one that had a multiplayer mode. I tried it like a couple of times. I don't even remember much about it. I'm not a multiplayer person for the most part. There's a few games I like to play occasionally. Battlefront, Borderlands, and Destiny, and Battlefield 4 and 3. I do, for some reason, I like 3 a little bit more. On the PlayStation 3, ironically, just, I don't know, maybe the 30 frames per second and the smaller player count makes it more digestible for me. I don't know. I still really like Battlefield 4 once they fixed everything. Because when that game first came out, at least on PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 3 version actually ran fine, even though the multiplayer portion kind of looked bad. The single player portion of Battlefield 4 on PlayStation 3, even though it ran at half the frame rate, looked pretty good. And when I compared the PlayStation 4 and 3 version, I was surprised at how similar they actually looked. I never played the PlayStation 3 version of Battlefield Hardline. That single player campaign is so short. It was fun for what it is, and it has a lot of great ideas, and I'm kind of disappointed that such an awesome studio like Visceral like kind of let me down with the single player campaign, because I didn't like the fast paced version of the multiplayer, and I didn't like the cash system. I kind of prefer the unlocking things just by playing matches and stuff like that. Even if you're not really good, you can start to get good gear just with the experience. But yeah, this game is kind of like God of War 3. There's more grappling and stuff like that, because since I believe this is the one that takes place the furthest back in Kratos' past, there's actually a scene, I believe, in this game that you see of Kratos, if I remember correctly, before he's the pale color that he is. I won't tell you why that happens, because that would be a major spoiler, why the way he is with his chains and everything. This whole sliding thing, I believe, is new. but there's more grapple moves and stuff like that, since they're trying to make up for the lack of all his little items and tools that he had in the other games, which is understandable because it wouldn't make much sense if he had everything that he got in the games that take place way after this story wise. But it's really fun, and the graphics in this game are incredible. Sorry about the partitions. There'll be a few more videos like this with partitions. I would have cropped the screen, but too much would have been cut off for this particular game, as in like some of the title screen and stuff like that, so I left it cropped. Hopefully I'm going to try a few things, and then if not, I'll have to settle with a better solution. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care. Check out this game, it's great. Bye.
If you want to, like, comment, and subscribe! Thanks for watching!